Okay, I'm just going to do a quick demonstration here for any other instructor or faculty member who'd like to use this same technique of developing lectures based on writings that you can project on the screen. What I'm going to do is go into Unit 2 of the materials that I've provided, in this case on the web, for CSC 200. Let's move ahead to a page that I'd like to use for a demonstration. This is a description, a two-page description actually, of the Turing machine. This is something Alan Turing came up with. It's documented here on the second page. Alan Turing came up with this as a means of talking about algorithms and how they could be implemented in a machine. Well, first of all, I'd like to get that thing up as a full screen image. So what I'm going to do is to go to View and go to full screen mode. Now actually this is cutting off the bottom of this writing, but it doesn't really much matter. I'm showing the whole thing here that I want to. The reason it's cutting off is I have this resolution limited to 1280 by 720, which is the resolution of the camera that I use. So it's necessary, if you're doing screen copy work like this, I'm using Camtasia, it's necessary for you to make sure that you have everything consistent in terms of the dimensions of the screens you're recording. Otherwise, when you put it on things like YouTube, you're going to find out things don't work quite well. It gets confused if you have a variety of different screen sizes with things that you combine in a video editor into one piece. Okay, I've got this up on the screen now. What I'm going to be able to do in editing this with Camtasia is to focus in on this. But now what I'm going to do to make this ready for Camtasia, I'm going to take this. I could just as well use what I've got right now in Camtasia, but I might not get a very good resolution out of it. A Mac might work better if you set it properly than this PC, but what I'm going to do is to show you a different technique. So I'm going to take an image of the screen doing Shift and Print Screen. Then I'm going to get out of this view of the material. So I'm going to get out of Adobe Reader, and I'm going to go into a photo editor. I happen to use PaintShop Pro, which is an old program from years ago, but it still works just fine for me. I'm going to do a Control V, and I stick the page in here. Now, what do I want to do with this? Well, it turns out I'm getting some little stuff on here I really don't prefer to have, but since this was taken already at 1280 by 720, I don't really have to worry about this. Otherwise, I would go here and resize. And I could resize it to this if I wanted to. It would serve no purpose now because it's already that resolution. But had I captured the entire screen, which I sometimes do, then I would go into this and I would actually resize it. Well, perhaps it was a little bit bigger than it should have been. And I just took care of that. Then I would go, if my editor had this sort of a possibility to it, I would sharpen it up because a little resolution will be lost in shrinking this from 1366 by 768, which is the size of my 15.6-inch laptop screen. 1366 by 768 is an aspect ratio of 16 to 9. 1280 by 720 is an aspect ratio of 16 by 9. But I need to have this thing as clear as possible. My photo editor has a sharpen function, and when I sharpen, things do sharpen up a little bit. That's fine. Now I'm going to save this as a JPEG, where I'm going to store this and then put it into the editor. Now, let me get out of here, and let me get out of here. And now what I need to do is go into my video editor and drop that JPEG in and combine it with the sound that I've recorded separately. I don't use Camtasia to record the sound. I used to do that, and with a high-quality microphone, it's certainly possible. However, in commuting back and forth between Los Angeles and Chicago, which I'm now doing because I have an aged parent in Los Angeles and I visit her quite often, now I find that I sometimes leave my equipment in the other place, and it gets a little awkward. So as a workaround, what I've been doing lately is using a flip video camera to record the sound. And then I use the QuickTime Player, the Pro version, QuickTime Pro, to peel the sound off from the MP4 file. That gives me a file I can work with Audacity. I clean the sound up, removing anything I want to remove, adjusting the volume and such, and then I just lay that down as a soundtrack, and I put in the still images of screens that I want to work with. So in this case, what I'm doing in making this little example video is a little different. I am using Camtasia here itself to record and to do some editing. Whoops, now my phone is going off, so I'll sign off.